He walked into a crowded bar in downtown Columbus, laughing with friends, blending into the noise, the music, the night. He was caught on security cameras entering the bar. But here's the part that still haunts investigators. He was never seen leaving. On the night of March 31st, 2006, 27-year-old Brian Shaffer went out to celebrate the start of spring break. A medical student at Ohio State University, Brian had been under intense pressure, grieving the recent loss of his mother. But that night, he looked carefree, smiling, relaxed, alive. Around 1:55 a.m., Brian entered the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a popular bar packed with students and locals. Inside, music thumped, drinks flowed, and the narrow entrance overflowed with people coming and going. Just after 2 a.m., surveillance cameras captured Brian chatting with two women near the escalators. Then, nothing. When the bar closed, everyone left. Friends searched. Security reviewed hours of footage. No image of Brian exiting the bar was ever found. No body, no phone calls, no bank activity, no trace. Brian Shaffer walked into a bar and vanished. Background and early life. Brian Randall Shaffer was born on February 25, 1979, in Pickerington, Ohio. He was known as intelligent, charismatic, and ambitious. Friends described him as outgoing, humorous, and deeply loyal. Brian excelled academically and went on to attend Ohio State University College of Medicine, placing him on a clear path toward a successful future as a physician. But beneath that promising exterior, life had been quietly unraveling. In March 2006, just weeks before his disappearance, Brian's mother passed away after a long battle with cancer. The loss devastated him. Those close to Brian later said he rarely spoke about his grief, choosing instead to bury himself in work, social outings, and distractions. On the outside, he smiled. Inside, something was breaking. The night begins March 31st, 2006, spring break. Brian decides to go out with friends in downtown Columbus. He meets up with fellow medical student Clint Florence and friend Meredith Turner. The mood is light. Drinks are poured. Laughter fills the air. No arguments, no distress, no signs that this night would become infamous. They bar hop through the city before eventually ending up at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a crowded bar located above a food court near Ohio State's campus. It's packed shoulder to shoulder, loud, chaotic, and buzzing with energy. Brian seems relaxed, talking to people, enjoying the moment. At around 1:55 a.m., security cameras capture Brian entering the bar. It would be the last confirmed sighting of him. Inside the Ugly Tuna Saloona. The Ugly Tuna was cramped and poorly laid out. One main entrance, a narrow hallway, two bars inside, a bathroom, a stage area. It was chaos, people constantly moving in and out. Surveillance footage later shows Brian inside the bar around 2 a.m., talking casually with two women near the escalators. Witnesses confirm he was not overly intoxicated. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't upset. He appeared normal, calm, alive. At some point, Brian separates from his friends. This isn't unusual in crowded bars. People drift, conversations fade. But when the bar closes at 2:30 a.m., Brian's friends can't find him anywhere. Everyone exits. Lights come on. The crowd disappears. Brian Shaffer is gone. The surveillance mystery investigators immediately focus on the surveillance footage. Cameras clearly show Brian entering the Ugly Tuna. They show dozens of people leaving. But Brian never once captured exiting. Not on the escalators, not down the stairs, not through the doors. This is where the case turns disturbing. Police review hours of footage. Again and again, no sign of Brian leaving. The bar had no known rear exit accessible to customers. The only staff exit required passing security and cameras. Yet Brian vanished without a trace. It's as if he dissolved into thin air. Investigators are left with an impossible question. How does a man disappear from a packed bar without being seen? The immediate aftermath. When Brian doesn't answer calls the next morning, concern sets in. He misses a flight planned for a vacation with his girlfriend, Alexis. That's not like him. His phone goes straight to voicemail. His car remains parked near his apartment. His apartment shows no signs of packing, struggle, or departure. Days pass, then weeks. Brian never contacts anyone. No bank transactions, no credit card use, no social media activity. His phone never pings another tower. For a man with a future mapped out in medicine, this silence is deafening. Police begin considering darker possibilities: accidental death, abduction, or voluntary disappearance. But there's no evidence to support any theory. Theories and speculation. The theories explode. Did Brian fall into construction areas nearby? Was he accidentally killed and covered up? Did he leave voluntarily to start a new life? Did he sneak out through an undocumented exit? Some speculate foul play inside the bar itself, though no blood or evidence is found. One theory suggests Brian may have slipped past the band entrance or followed staff unknowingly. Another suggests he may have met someone and left unnoticed. But every theory collapses under scrutiny. No witnesses, no footage, no proof. Even stranger, Brian's phone briefly pings months later in a nearby area. But investigators believe it was a technical glitch. Another dead end in a case full of them. Family, grief, and obsession. Brian's father, Randy Shaffer, becomes consumed by the search. He refuses to give up. He organizes searches, hires private investigators, and keeps Brian's case alive in the media. For years, Randy insists his son is still alive somewhere. But tragedy strikes again. In 2008, Randy Shaffer dies unexpectedly. Brian's brother Derek continues the search, but the case grows colder with each passing year. No remains, no clues, no answers. The family is left suspended in permanent uncertainty. No closure, no goodbye, just endless questions echoing through time. Legacy of a vanishing. Brian Shaffer's disappearance remains one of the most baffling missing person cases in American history. No evidence of a crime. No proof of escape. No body. No explanation. He didn't leave a note. He didn't withdraw money. He didn't say goodbye. A man with dreams, grief, and a future walked into a bar and never walked out. To this day, the Ugly Tuna Saloona no longer exists. The building has changed. The city has moved on. But the mystery hasn't. Because somewhere between those walls, on that night, Brian Shaffer vanished. And the truth went with him. Brian Shaffer's disappearance is not just a mystery. It's a wound that never healed. A young man with a future in medicine, a family who loved him, and a life still unfolding, vanished without a single confirmed step beyond a bar's doorway. No struggle, no evidence, no goodbye. Years have passed, buildings have changed, and witnesses' memories have faded. Yet the question remains untouched. What happened to Brian Shaffer? Was it a tragic accident hidden in plain sight? A calculated escape from grief? Or something far darker that left no trace behind? His case reminds us how fragile certainty really is. How someone can be surrounded by people, cameras, and noise, and still disappear completely. Until answers surface, Brian Shaffer exists in a space between life and death, memory and mystery. If you found this case compelling, consider liking the video and subscribing for more true crime stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next case.